All right, so we're gonna first unshape this scroll saw box here. So we're gonna have three parts, right? This is an exploded view. So we're gonna design the top, the body, and the bottom. So you can see it here. I'm gonna reference a few things, kind of toggle back and forth. So when this is put together, right, you'll have a box that looks like this. So you have three drawings to reference: your top, your body, and your bottom. We're gonna start with the bottom. So when you're looking at this, you have your orthographic drawing, right? So you have your isometric, your top, your front, and your right side view. So these have all the dimensions on you need to draw. So we're gonna start this drawing, and you're gonna start with the top view. You're gonna draw this sketch here, and then extrude it up to create our 3D model. So if you look at this, this is 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. We're going to start by drawing that rectangle first with a 1/2 inch radius. So if we go into our Part Studio, so we're in our Part Studio here. I'm going to click Top View, N on my keyboard to create a normal view, so I'm looking directly on that. And remember, I don't have to keep everything in this blue space. This goes on for infinity. I'm going to create a sketch. So I click Sketch. What plane? I'm going to click the top plane. Now I'm going to use the rectangle. Now when you click rectangle, make sure it's a center point rectangle. We're going to draw off the center. It's just easier to do that. So I click center point rectangle. Now if I click the center, drag up, click once. I don't have to hover over these numbers. You see here where it says 6.47. It's a white box because it's asking you to input numbers. You don't have to click that. So what that asking is for that measurement, and the measurement is 4.75. So I type in that, click enter, and then up here, if this box is white, it's asking me to put in 4.75 again. Now, if you accidentally hit enter, not the end of the world. Just see my cursor still has that crosshair. Hit escape on your keyboard to break that. So you have a normal white cursor, and you can click that, double click it, and you can manually change that to 4.75. Because if I'm referencing my drawing here, this is 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. So 4 3/4 wide by 4 3/4 wide. Great. The next thing you want to create is that radius. So if I look at my drawing, we have a radius, inside radius, which we'll worry about after, but an outside radius as well, as both 1/2 inch. So easy enough, I click the radius. It's not called radius, it's called a fillet. If you can't find it, you can type it in the search bar, but fillet, sketch fillet, I click that once, and I'm going to click, and you'll see I can click the two corners I want to add the fillet to. I can manually drag it out, but what I do is I just click it again, and then I can tell it what radius I want this to be. I want this to be a 1/2 inch. Great. Once I have one selected, all I need to do, I'm still in this command, I'm just going to click the other corners. The radius is already set at 0.5. Click again, hit enter, and I can go around and I have the outside. Now if you look at our drawing, we have this inside cut out, right? So we need to what's called an offset. So we're going to offset this outside profile by 3/8 of an inch. You see that this dimension here that I'm highlighting is the wall is 3/8 of an inch. So we don't have to redraw this. We could, but what's easier, if you're in the sketch still, so don't accept you're still working in the sketch, there's a tool up here called offset. If you click offset, what this will allow you to do is click all the lines. You can see as I click, I'm clicking all the lines that I want to offset. And the arrow, it's pointing 0.25 inches outside, but we want to click that arrow once. We'll change the direction. You see it's asking to accept that. I accept that once, and now what I'll do is come back, hit escape to break the cursor. If I click this dimension here, 0.25, we're going to change that to 3/8. And you see my offset changed. So after you do that, you notice it doesn't always, the radius doesn't always transfer perfectly. So what you're going to have to do is manually change this radius here. So again, you're going to go up after that set, go up to sketch fillet, and again, do the same thing. Click the lines you want to add the radius to, accept it, go around all the corners again, and then you'll notice it leaves that extra line there. So remember, to get to the normal cursor, your cursor shouldn't look like these crosshairs. So to break the command, hit escape on your keyboard. Your cursor should look like this, and what you can do is go back and delete those extra radius. And great, we have now our sketch. So basically we just created, if you look at our drawing, we created this top view here, referencing all these. Now we need to extrude this. It's still only 2D, so we need to extrude this to make it 3D. So what you'll do, unname this sketch, body, accept it. If I rotate around, you'll see it's still not complete. So what you do is you click extrude. Now all I need to extrude is I'm going to select the outside and the depth, right? If I reference my drawing, what's the depth? It's 1.5 inches. So I'm referencing my drawing. 1.5. I'm going to name, it's good to name the extrusion. So this is body, green check mark, and great, I have the body of this. Now from this, we can work and build off of this. It's pretty straightforward. We're going to reference the other drawings and build off of this first part. You can see now that we have a sketch, an extrusion down here where it says parts, we have part 1. We'll rename this body. And that's our initial part. Great. From here, we're going to start and we're going to draw our top. All right, so now we need to design and build the top. So if we look here, at our assembly, you can see our top here has this lip here. So we have to design this piece and this lip here so it sits into the box. So if we look at the drawing of the top, right, we have our orthographic drawing with our isometric top, front, side. And we're going to start out like we usually do, drawing the outline of it and extruding it. The only difference between this and the other one is that we have this, we're not cutting anything out, we're actually adding something in the middle. So we'll go here, we'll start a new sketch. So I'm going to click this surface here, the top of the body of the box. Click N on my keyboard, so I'm looking directly on the top. And then I will click Sketch. So we're going to use a new tool here. It's called the Use and Offset tool. So the first thing we're going to do is the Use tool. It looks like a square with the one side highlighted blue. So what this allows you to do is click the outside perimeter. So we're not going to draw a new square. We're going to click the lines, and they'll be selected when they turn orange. And then I'll click the Use/project/convert icon, and you'll see those turn black. If I hide, now what you can do, you can hide your body. So over here on the left-hand side where my cursor is blinking, there's a little, if you hover over it, you see that little eye icon? If you click that, it will hide the body. So now you can just reference your sketch that you're drawing now. So that's great. If you reference our drawing, we have this rectangle on the inside, right? That is 7/16 from the outside. So we're going to use the offset tool. So here what we're going to do, there's an icon here called offset, or O on your keyboard. If you select this, you should be able to do is click each of these lines, and you'll see as I select, lines will build around this. And we want to change the direction. We want to offset inside. So I'm going to just move the arrow in. If I move my cursor, you see how it has that green check mark next to the left click. So I'll click. That gets accepted, but we want to change this number here. So make sure my cursor is still in the offset command because I have the crosshairs. So hit escape on your keyboard. Now this dimension here, if I double click this, we're going to change this to 7/16 and hit enter. Great, it looks good. The only thing we need to change, we're going to change the radius of that here. So what we're going to do, use the fillet command. This is going to give that a radius. So I'm going to click the fillet command, Shift F on your keyboard, and click each of the corners and click once. Mine is already set to 0.5. If yours is not, change this dimension to 0.5. And you're going to go around, right? I'm still in the fillet command. My cursor has the crosshairs. It's still selected blue up at the toolbar. And I'll go around and make all these corners have a radius of 1/2 inch. So there's our sketch, right? We just made, we can dimension this. We don't need to dimension this because it's, you see the lines are black. That means they're fully defined, right? So if I try to, nothing will happen. It's referencing the body that we drew before, but this looks just like the drawing here, right? So now we need to extrude this and make this 3-dimensional. So I'll name the sketch top. It's important to name everything, every sketch, every extrusion. So there is that. And if I go back over to the parts and show the body, you can see we drew that sketch right on top here. I'll hide this again. So the first thing we're going to do is extrude the middle section. So I'll click the extrude button, click the center, and you want to change the direction. We're going to extrude that down and change the depth to 0.25, 1/4 inch. So you can type in fractions or you can type in decimals. And that's a new part. So we're going to extrude, change that from extrude 1 to top. .25. Okay, so great, we have that part. That's the inside lip, right? We need to make the rest of that. So we're gonna use the extrude tool again. Before we click that, we're gonna go over down on the left where it shows our sketch, our top sketch. If you hover over it, you wanna click the eye icon so you can see the sketch. And we're gonna click a few things. So the first thing we're going to do is click extrude, and we're going to click there should be like a little perimeter on the inside. You're going to select that carefully, and you're going to select the outside as well. And then you're going to select the inside again, which you just did. So it looks like this big block here if you rotate around. But the depth on this should be 0.25. You click that. And you want to make sure a couple key things. You want to make sure here where it says extrude 1, new add, you're adding this. So make sure it should automatically add. If it doesn't, if it's not automatically adding, it might show red. You want to go down here where it says merge scope. Click merge scope and make sure you're selecting over here where it says parts, part 2. And that will merge it with that part it'll basically blends it with the part you already drew. So now this becomes 1. So now what I'll do is I'll type top, top 1, green check mark, and you can now see I have a new part down here, part 2. So I'll rename this top. So now we should have in our feature tree, we have our body sketch, our body extrusion, our top sketch, and our 2 top extrusions, which made these parts. So if you look at this, right, we have our top, our body, and now we just need to make the bottom. So the bottom is really straightforward. It's the same process, right? I have the drawing that you can reference, but you really don't need to. Right, if you look at the bottom drawing, it's the same exact thing as the top. The only difference, it doesn't have that inner lid or that lip, and it's a 4 3/4 square, a 1/2 inch radius with a 1/4 inch thickness. So you're going to rotate around to the bottom, click on the surface, click sketch, and just like before, I'm going to use the use command. Click that, and I'm going to select the lines I want to reuse. So it's the outer perimeter of the square. I'll name the sketch bottom. And now when I click extrude, I'm going to hide the body and the top. And you're going to see all your sketches. If that gets confusing, you can go over to your feature tree and hide your other sketches. But you just want to select the bottom. And then when you select it, it might not select the entire square itself. So what you'll do is, see how I click this, you might need to click the inside as well. So you create that whole solid piece. And again, the depth with this is 0.25 or a 1/4 inch, and we'll label that extrusion bottom. So you have here your 3 parts, and I'll name this over here where it says parts. You show your body, your top, and now part 3, which we can rename and call the bottom. So if we show all these, we have our completed box. So we have our top, bottom, and then our body. And like I said, over here you can hide these parts. So if you want to just see the top, if you want to see the bottom, if you want to hide the bottom, just see the top, hide the top, just see the body. You'll have, now you should, for a completed project, you need to have all these parts. You'll have all these sketches and extrusions labeled. So you'll have your body sketch, your body extrusion, your top sketch, your 2 top extrusions, your bottom sketch, your bottom extrusion, and then you'll have your 3 parts, body, top, and bottom. And that would complete your Onshape for this scroll saw box project.